starting panel 4, Power of PAC. My name is Tracy Scott, and I'm the moderator. But what I have elected to do is that this panel is very versed in what they're saying. So we are starting out with Chris Tackett on the end, and Chris has researched all the money in the State House and how candidates are receiving money and where that money is coming from. So he has a presentation. And next we have Lisa Turner, who is with Lone Star Project, who has been very successful as a PAC in helping candidates win elections in the state of Texas across the state. So her input is very valuable as to how PACs can work and how they can work in your benefit. And then we have Felix Chevalier from Houston. Okay, so I'm sorry. Chris is from Fort Worth. Lisa's in Fort Worth. We're in Prairie. Okay. And then we have Felix Chevalier, who's an attorney out of Houston, who has founded PAC, which is another PAC for this statewide PAC that is out of Houston, Texas. So please please welcome everyone. I'll sit up here just there we go. Points of courtesy. Let's keep it going. Okay, so let's start with Chris Tackett.
All right. So, political action committees, right? They come in all shapes and sizes, and I refer to them as the good, the bad, and the ugly, right? So, what I'm going to do is run you through some core slides that illustrate the good, the bad, and the ugly in our PACs. Now, like Tracy said, one of the things I've done is mapped all the money in Texas politics in the 2018 election cycle. I started doing it for myself, for my representative and the things going on there, and then I started sharing it, and people all over the state started saying, well, what about my rep? What about this PAC? Where's the money going? So I pulled all the money and built a website to make it really easy for me, first of all, but also all of you to see where the money's coming from. So every single slide I show you is from my website, that it's christacketnow.com, right? You can get all of the same information I'm going to show you and a whole lot more, okay? But we're going to focus just on a handful of PACs right now on what they're doing. So let's look at that first PAC. So again, straight from my website, and I tried to take all the data from the Texas Ethics Commission. Have any of you ever gone into the Texas Ethics Commission and looked for something? Yeah. Is it easy to use? Is it easy to interpret? Hell no, right? So I did all the hard work. I pulled all the numbers because I love Excel spreadsheets, but I know everybody doesn't love Excel spreadsheets, and I turned the data into things like pie charts. And now with the pie chart, you can understand what's happening. So this first example of a PAC that I would say is the good is Annie's List. Right? This is a good PAC. Why is it a good PAC? Well, when you look at the pie chart, the way I have every single chart set up on my site is the top 9 donors all get their own individual slice. And then the 10th slice on every single pie chart is everybody else. Right? So when you look at Annie's List, you've got maybe, what, 12%, 13%? Coming from 9 donors. Now, Annie's List took in $3.4 million in the 2018 election cycle. That's a lot of money. They were one of the largest in the state in the 2018 election cycle. Yeah, just saying, just bring it, right?
Look who's moving now. Okay,
$3.4 million, it came from 3,255 different individual donors. 3,255 people gave money to Annie's List. 9 of them, right, made up this section. Everybody else gave $2.9 million. The average donation to Annie's List was $603. But when you look at a group that is driven by the grassroots, when you see a PAC with 3,000 plus contributors, when you don't see it dominated by just a handful, this is a good PAC. And I want to point out the Lone Star Project, which is one of my panel mates here, is one of those who is giving to the Annie's List PAC. So hey, good job.
They're a wonderful organization that is dedicated to electing women, so terrific.
So that's a really good PAC, right? Now let's take a look at the next one. This is Texans for Lawsuit Reform. They were the biggest PAC as far as dollars coming in this last election cycle in Texas. They took in $8.4 million. 8.4 million. Holy cow, that's a lot of coin. But remember, Annie's List had 3,200 plus donors. 499 gave $8 million to Texans for Lawsuit Reform. The average donation was $11,000. And then you start to look, and again, you look at those top 9 slices, and now we're seeing about 20–25% coming from 9 people. 9 people! When you're talking $8.4 million here, right? And you've got folks, Robert McNair, Richard Weekly, the Weekly Homes, right? You get into Harlan Crow, H. Ross Perot. I will tell you, as you look through this list, it's oil and gas, it's developers, right? And so with a group like this, Texans for Lawsuit Reform, and all this money, what are they shooting for? Right? They're trying to influence legislators to reform lawsuits so that people like you and I can't sue those big organizations they represent. So this one's a little questionable as I look at that. Right? You look at all of a sudden it's like less than 500 people, $8.4 million. It's a little scary. It's about to get scarier. Let's keep going. Next up, Texas Right to Life PAC. They took in $3.1 million. And remember I said the top 9 slices, the first 9 slices is 9 donors and everybody else fits in the little pink slice? Well, this group took in $3.1 million, had 374 donors, and 9 people were 88% of that. Again, we're getting farther and farther from the grassroots. It's a little crazy. And we've got, again, one big slice, $1.2 million from a gentleman named Ferris Wilkes. He made billions selling a fracking company. Lives in Cisco, Texas, little town out west. Not much else there. His brother Dan is the next slice, giving $625,000. Right? So over half of this PAC is 2 people. When you look at this PAC, the decisions they make, the way they go, is it based on what the grassroots wants? No. It's based on 2 people. Right? This isn't grassroots. Let's keep going. This is Empower Texans. They took in $5.8 million. They only had 257 people give them money. And remember, 9 donors are the slices. 96% of their money came from 9 people.
Chris, I think I'm right. What you will find is that many of these high-dollar donors give to all the different Republican PACs that he's shown.
Yeah,
right? There's a lot of crossover. Yeah.
Yeah.
What does Empower Texans advocate for?
Well, they will tell you, if you ask, if you look at any of their stuff, they are a grassroots PAC representing Texans from all over the state. But realistically, it's 257 donors, right? So it's not grassroots. They will tell you, hey, we're for, we don't want taxes, right? No taxes. Transparency in government. School choice. We want school choice, which means vouchers, taking it out of our public school systems, right? So, I mean, a lot of pretty radical things. Have you guys heard of the Freedom Caucus in the Texas House? They're the ones who bankroll all the Freedom Caucus. And a whole lot of politicians beyond that.
Also known as the Tea Party.
Yeah,
They fund all the Tea Party candidates.
every single one of them. And remember, and again, a guy named Tim Dunn, 3.2 million of that. One guy, over half of that PAC. And I did hear a mention about Ferris Wilkes and Brother Dan, right? Right here. A little scary as you look at that. Now, next slide. Because you guys, I think it's like you were reading ahead somehow. Right? No, it's all good. It means you're paying attention. The idea, right? So here's the Empower Texans PAC. And here's the Texas Right to Life PAC. Between the two of them, almost $9 million, right? Pouring in. Now remember, the 9 slices, right, are the top 9 donors. When you look at the 2 of these, we've got Tim Dunn, #1 donor for Empower Texans. He's right here on Texas Right to Life. Ferris Wilkes is on both. Dan Wilkes is on both. Kyle Stallings is on both. Dick Salisbury is on both. Holloway Frost and Kathleen Wall is on both. So 6 of the top 9 donors to those 2 PACs are exactly the same people. So when you see legislators being influenced, when you see a mailer come out for Texans for Fiscal Responsibility, which is the other name that Empower Texans uses, attacking candidates or supporting candidates, and then you see something from Texas Right to Life that comes out, supporting the same candidates amazingly. And you're like, wow, and I'll tell you, this is just 2 PACs of a whole world of PACs they're leveraging. When your mailbox gets inundated with things in election time, and if you're not a high information voter, you're only seeing those things that show up in your Facebook feed or in your mailbox, and you're seeing flyers from all these different organizations supporting this candidate or demonizing another candidate, all of a sudden you may go, oh, well, this must be the candidate for me. But it's the same money behind all of it. That's what's so bad.
So being the heaviest voting bloc is just not all there is to the election process and getting a candidate in office. We have to be bigger than that. We have to pay attention. We have to rise above it. We have to stop believing that we were just oh so great at the level we're at. There's another level.
Now let's talk about a couple of current events. Right? I got 2 things I want to make sure we touch on really quickly. Remember, the election we just had, right? Proposition 4 got a lot of press, right? That was the state income tax one. And there was a group that was Texans for Prop 4 was what the official PAC was. And they had all the vote for Prop 4. You may have seen those graphics somewhere in your social media feeds. You know, this is from their Twitter page, where it had lots of things they were putting out. Governor Abbott was retweeting them. I mean, doing all this stuff. And Jeff Leach, who was the representative who submitted House Joint Resolution 38, you know, he was posting all about it and putting their graphics up there, right, all the way through Election Day. And it made me start looking and going, well, who is this Texans for Prop 4? It must be a really big organization because they got all these, you know, all this stuff that all these legislators are retweeting this stuff and putting it out there. They got a website, they got their Facebook page. Well, you know what? When I went and looked to see what was happening here, let's go to the next slide.
So Jeff Leach, who is that guy?
He is the Texas House member from House District 67. He is a white guy.
Colin Kelly.
So this is the pie chart for Texans for Prop 4 PAC.
Oh my God.
You see there's exactly 1 contributor, and look who the contributor is. The Leach for Texas campaign. Is it legal? Yes. Does it feel right when you see it?
No.
No way, right? This is what's happening behind the scenes on things.
So it passed, so people got confused and voted for it.
Yes! Yes! That's the power of the PAC! Used for nefarious purposes. Right? I got one more I want to show you, current event. So, in the HD 28 race, House District 28 special election, All these mailers started showing up in people's mailboxes, right? And these are actual, I had people send me these. And it's Imagine Their Texas, and it's Dr. Elise Markowitz, who was the one running in House District 28 as the Democrat. And they, of course, got Nancy Pelosi and AOC on there with her. And it's all about socialism and fear tactics and stuff like that, right? And then every single mailer that goes out has to have a tag telling you who paid for it, right? So in the corner up here, and in the corner over here, it tells you it was a political advertisement paid for by the United for Texas PAC. But the thing is, you looked and you couldn't find any information, no filings on who's behind this PAC, right? And then, amazingly, the day after the election was over, there was a filing that appeared on the Texas Ethics Commission website. And when you took a look at it, what you saw was the United for Texas PAC had exactly one contributor. They gave $50,000, and they spent every single bit of it on polling and those advertisements against Dr. Markowitz. And you know who who gave that money? It was Tim Dunn. Remember that name, Tim Dunn? We talked about Empower Texans gave $3.2 million in the other space. How come he didn't give the money to Empower Texans to give to do this? Because Empower Texans in a lot of places around Texas has a bad name because people have started realizing what they're trying to buy. So they created a new PAC. And they didn't do it the way they do all the rest of their PACs. Right? There's general PACs that have a way they have to file. And if they would have set this up as a general PAC, we would have seen these reports before the election. But they manipulated the system, or took advantage of the system, and set this PAC up, United for Texas, as a monthly PAC, which means it only has to file on the 5th of every month. So they spent all their money in October and didn't have to tell us until November 5th, which was election day, so we didn't see anything until the 6th. Again, does that feel right? That is what we have to be aware of when we talk about PACs. Now, there are great PACs out there, and I want to show you one more great PAC.
And what you're up against for election time. This is how the other side plays. This is what's,
So the Supreme was duped
So
on
it's
the board.
real.
On Proposition 4. They thought, oh, yeah.
But this is a great PAC. I want to make sure I highlight one more great PAC. This is the Black Women's PAC. But again, my thing is I pull everything so I can see it and realize, well, I can't say everything. Everything that looks like a player in the system. Because there are 2017 registered PACs, active registered PACs in the state of Texas as of yesterday morning. 2017 of them, okay? But with this PAC, this is from 2018, the election cycle. I don't know what you've done recently, okay? $38,000 came into this PAC. You can see top 9 donors giving less than 50%. You've got a couple of larger donors here, but for the most part, you've got 239 contributions.
Sidebar, the larger donors helped elect the 19 women, the 19 judges in Houston and Davis County.
Right. But this is a grassroots PAC because the other thing you look at is average donation. $139. That means it's you and a bunch of other people just like you giving to this PAC, helping to make it go. This is a grassroots PAC. This is a good PAC. Thank you for being involved with it.
Thank
and
you
being
all
involved in
too.
Texas.
Thank you all for contributing and for supporting the Black Women's PAC. But do note, it's 139 compared to 603. I want you to remember that. I want you to go back in the slides in your head and you watch the video. And I want you to understand the shoes that you bought and that bag that you bought and all that great car that you drive and the vacation you took and all of that. But okay, I digress.
But that's PACs. Now let's get back to the panel.
And what's 227, 277?
277 donations, 239 individual contributors. So that means some of you gave more than once, right? That's all that tells you. recurrent donations, right? So,
239 what?
okay.
239 what?
239 individual contributors, unique contributors, 239 people or organizations.
Monthly contributions add up. Yes.
They keep the operation going, absolutely.
Yes.
So, PACs. Lots to understand. But you can, again, any of this stuff you can find at my website. You can run these charts, look at candidates. Oh, hey, I had one more slide. I totally forgot. This is the illustration from my website of grassroots or not, right? There were 33 contributors to the Black Women's PAC who gave more than $200. So that means the other 216 contributors were giving less than $200 every single time, right? Now some people, right, did give multiple times on that, so they gave more than 200 overall, but every single check they were writing, small donations. And those small donations are what give you reach and power as a PAC. Because as soon as I write you a check for some money, all of a sudden I'm more engaged. I am much more willing to go knock on a door, to make a phone call, to send a postcard, because now I am part of this. So the more people you can get involved, even if it's, again, small donations, that's how you drive grassroots change. That is absolutely how it's done. Okay.
You have a question?
Chris, now.com.
Yeah. ChrisTacketNow.com. T as in Tom, A-C-K-E-T-T. And it is in the brochure.
Yes. So next we're going to hear from Lisa Turner, who is with Lone Star Project.
We are a PAC.
Yes, a statewide PAC. It has been really successful in helping numerous candidates across the state for quite some time. So, yeah, I'd like for Lisa to tell you about, her experience with the PAC, how much change they've made in the state, and the candidates that they've helped.
Right, and just to be clear, I cannot match that energy level, so I'm not even going to try today. And so the PAC I work for is a state PAC, and we're a partisan PAC. We are not an ideological PAC. We believe that if you replace a Republican with a Democrat, you get better policy and better policy outcomes. So we make those investments, and we don't then ask for something. And so I want to talk about the importance of money in politics. And I know it sounds awful and dirty, and certainly Empower Texans and everything he just showed you, we have faced in campaign after campaign after campaign. And the Democratic candidates that I've worked with, we are never going to be able to have as much money in our campaigns as they do. Never. But what we have to have is enough money to run our program, to get our message out. A couple of examples. Retta Bowers. I don't know if you know Retta. Yay, Retta. Empower Texans, spending money against her. We were able to get her just enough money, and she ran a strong campaign to get her message out. Beverly Powell, over in Tarrant County in that Senate seat, they were in for $1 million against her. And it was really tough slogging, but other groups and individual donors gave us that fighting chance. And I think what's really important about what Black Women's PAC is doing and other grassroots PACs is that Ann Richards said it best. She said, money is the mother's milk of politics. And that's right, it's true. And most candidates need that money on the front end when they're trying to gear up their campaign with infrastructure. So they need a logo design and a website and a push card and just the fundamentals of getting it off the ground. And then you need a lot of money on the back end when you're actually communicating with voters. When you're trying to battle a man like that, which I guarantee you, we're gonna see that male piece in every one of our districts. Everybody's gonna be a socialist, AOC, what have you. And so it's really, really important that our candidates have enough money to run their program. And, it's oftentimes women in particular, we don't come from a culture of political giving. We come from a culture of giving our money to the PTA and to our church, into causes and nonprofits. And this is foreign to women. But it's critical, just like I would say with African American women who are literally make your voices heard every election at the ballot box. We have a real opportunity through PACs like this to take that to the next level with your giving. And there is no such thing as too small of a contribution. It all adds up. And I've sat with candidates, and I know Representative Collier, you were there when you were running. When you were trying to close that budget at the end, whether you want to put more boots on the ground, or you want to do a little bit more social media, or you want to do one more mail piece, if you don't think that $100, that $200, it stacks up, stacks up, stacks up.
Even that $20.
Even that $20, monthly donations, critical. I helped Devin Allen, who is a Tarrant County Commissioner. She is the only woman on the Commissioner's Court in Tarrant County. African American woman, she's 38 years old. She's not only the only woman, she's the youngest person. I think the next oldest person is 66. And she, back to Nicole's point, just brings such a different voice and experience to what she does. I know that Black Women's PAC contributed to her. And at the
Devin
end,
was our first, actually, she was our first check.
yeah, first check. And it's huge. It's huge. And it used to be that African American women would run in districts that were considered solid Democratic districts, safe Democratic seats. Not anymore. We have this really great opportunity and a proven track record to run in marginal districts, Republican-held districts. We've seen it with Retta, we've seen it with Devin, we saw it with 17 African American judges in Harris County, shout out. And it's critical, but we're never gonna have the money unless we pull it together. And I remember the very first check I wrote was to Ann Richards in 1990, and it was $25. And I had never written a political check in my life. And for me at that time, it was a stretch. That was a real stretch for me. And I got used to that culture of giving, and I saw it, and I saw how that would really impact change that was important to me. I had kids in public schools, and so I've learned how to put a zero behind that. I've learned how to put a
Let me ask you
zero.
this, let me just interrupt a sec. So Retta's now elected. She was one of the, she's one of the newly elected state reps, but she won within 10%. So we're gonna have to come back around.
Absolutely.
And help her, win again. And we're gonna have to, start building now to help keep our elected officials in office. Because a lot of times we do the first thing, we go vote, we're like, yay, we voted for you, go do it.
Right.
But we have to actually, start building a treasury and start having an influence on how she can stay, and that they know that somebody's there supporting her. So that she's making change and that she's making decisions and, creating policy. That there is she has a group, she has a backing, she has a base that is there for her to help support her as she moves through. But go ahead.
100% correct. I'm really excited. One of our candidates that just filed for office this morning in Arlington against a Republican-held district. This guy is Tony Tinderholt. He's funded by
Empower Texas.
Thank you. And her name is Elisa Simmons. She is African American. And she is president of the Arlington NAACP. She is dynamite. She is dynamite. I'm really excited about her candidacy and what she brings. I really hope that as you grow your PAC and that
As we grow our PAC.
that she's somebody that you would consider supporting.
It's just the end of the, it's just, you know, don't we?
Because she's amazing. She's amazing. So anyway, I would just, I think my hope is that women actually learn that their voice transpires past the ballot box. I'm not saying go get your friends to go vote and make sure everybody goes all the way down that ballot. We did away with straight ticket voting. I'm very worried Republicans did that, right?
Yeah.
They got rid of the Voting Rights Act, and then we had voter ID. So now they got rid of straight ticket voting. They're thinking we're not going to go all the way down our ballot and vote for Democrats. So my plea to you is do that. Go all the way down the ballot, vote for every Democrat. Now I'm getting partisan like Nicole. But find your political giving, and if it's $5, if it's $10, whatever it is, no contribution is too small because we're up against that. But we have shown that we can beat that. We can beat that if we just have enough to run our program.
And we can't count on someone else to do it for us.
Correct.
It's still a handout. If we're not in it, if we're not representing ourselves, it's still a handout. You're still asking someone else to fund our issues, what affects us, what our candidates that are running. It's still a handout.
You gotta have some skin in the game.
That's
Yes.
exactly right. And women candidates face barriers that male candidates do not. And one of those, first and foremost, is fundraising. In part because men have more business contacts and, and they're not afraid to ask. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we take care of people. They're like, give me. And we have a hard time, women candidates have a hard time doing that. White women candidates raise on average about 2/3 of what a male candidate. Black women candidates raise half of that. Half of that. And it's just barriers that they face. And I believe it's up to all of us to bring those barriers down. We got to bring them down.
Yes. So next, let's hear from,
Sure.
does anyone have any questions as we're going so far? We'll save it to the end. Next, we have Felix Chevalier here from PAC.
So I'll start with asking for help here. I need 3 volunteers. It's a very easy task. I was going to ask one question. So any ladies from over here? Any one of you?
She's our first
Tracy,
volunteer.
why are you here?
We need more women in government, period.
Okay.
That's why I'm here.
Any one of these ladies? You pick one. You pick another person.
LaDonna,
Yes, why are you here, LaDonna?
let's go.
I'm here to learn about what I don't know about politics and policies and how I can become more effective.
Okay, and then someone over there?
Rita Love.
Yes.
I'm here, I've been in Texas for 4 years, I'm from Atlanta, and I'm here to see what I can do to contribute to Upper 2020.
Fantastic, fantastic. So the reason I'm asking that question is because I think it's very important for you all to realize that many of you are here for the same reasons, right? And and Tracy and I were introduced by a common friend, Carol Robinson. So this is the first time we're meeting in person, but I'm going to say the things that she probably can't or won't say, okay? Because when
Which is why I asked.
So, Black Women's PAC got started when?
January 2018.
2018. So PAC got started in 2004. So I have a little history with a PAC, so I know exactly what you're dealing with. And maybe I'll start with just giving you some background on why PAC got started and some of our history. So first, my name is Felix Chevalier. I am a lawyer. I am based out of Houston, Texas. Some friends of mine and I started PAC back in 2004. Now, why did we start it? Do any of you remember the debate between George Bush and John Kerry, presidential debate? You remember the ad that came out? What was the name of that ad that came out that people give credit to for knocking John Kerry out of the presidential debate? Swift vote ad. That's right. So for those of you who are not aware of what happened, there was an ad that was created by a political action committee. And the ad basically attacked John Kerry's career as a service, as a member of the U.S. Armed Forces. And a lot of people give that ad credit for knocking him out of the presidential election. And to think that there was a small group of people who put some money together to knock out the Democratic nominee. Now, to be honest, so PAC is nonpartisan, right? Because the same thing happened on the other side. And what we realized was that, one, that was extremely powerful, and then two, we had a choice to either complain or do something about it, right? So what we decided was we would start a PAC. And we started with just getting together. It was just 8 of us, figure out how PACs work. We literally printed out the ethics rules, divided chapters, read them, and then educated each other, put $50 a month together, and started from there. Gave money to one elected official, and you know the rest came, right? Because you give money to one elected official, everybody sees who gives money, and they know, everyone knows who to go to, because PACs know, that's what PACs do, right? They give money out. So as a result of that, PAC has been able to establish long and extensive relationships with elected officials for well over a decade and a half. So people who we invested in 15 years ago, who were just running for city council, are now running for comptroller, mayor. So the small investment that you're making today will be an investment that will last for a very long time. And I'm not telling you what I think, I'm telling you what I know. I'm telling you from experience. Here's something else that Tracy probably either hasn't experienced yet, but it will happen. Some of you are going to run into situations where you're going to need assistance politically. It could be just getting information, want to speak on a panel because you want to raise your profile within your respective industries, or you're just trying to figure out, hey, I need to learn more about government contracting. City of Austin is doing work in marketing. I have a marketing business. Who can I talk to who can put me in front of the right people? Because sometimes it's just a matter of an introduction that puts you in a position to just be considered, and sometimes that's enough. I'm not telling you what I think, I'm telling you what I know. Now, our objective at PAC is to create what we call institutionalized influence. We are looking and we are creating institutionalized influence. So what do we mean by that?
We call it political infrastructure.
It's the same concept. And I'm going to use your concept, political infrastructure. What that really means is, it doesn't matter who's in public office, you will always have the political infrastructure in place to advance what your agenda is. And you may not know what your agenda is today, but you're always going to have an agenda. So why not be in a position to have the structure in place or the influence in place to advance your agenda, whatever it may be, whenever you want to employ it? Use a car, for example. You may not know where you want to go next week, the week after, 6 months from now, 5 years from now. But you know if you have a car, you can get to wherever you want to get to. Right? Now, what good is it to talk about where you want to go if you have nowhere to get there? Right? And so here's what I would encourage you all to do. Here's what I would encourage you all to do. Well, the first is, it is to donate. Commit today, and whether it's Black Women's PAC, some other, get involved in some organization, right? But one would be commit, and Tracy and I did not have a discussion about this. This is not poured in any form or fashion. I just know from experience what's necessary. One, donate. And it doesn't matter what the amount is. I think the more you give, you all know, the more you give, the more you get out of something, right? If you can make it recurring, I think that's even better. Secondly, what I would say is, at the next event, bring 2 people with you. Because there are people who also need to be enlightened about what's going on. And they'll be grateful for you doing it.
And buy someone's ticket. Buy a ticket. Buy a ticket for a friend.
And you never know, and I would never prejudge, because the very person who you bring in tomorrow might be your next state representative who gets inspired. So I'm going to show you a quick video of what we just did in Houston, because we just had an election in Houston, citywide race, so it was for mayor's race and city council races. We endorsed a whole slate of candidates, but what we did in this piece, what we did was we specifically put additional resources behind the mayor and key PAC alumni. So I'll show you a video.
So in looking at this municipal election cycle, Key PAC decided to leverage our time, our talents, and our treasures to do what we could do to have the greatest impact.
It's an exciting day. Souls to Polls 2019. Key PAC is on the mission, and we're connecting and collaborating with them to make sure we push everybody out to vote. I'm so excited to be a part of all this, and as an individual, as a citizen, as a community servant and leader, it's all about getting people out to vote and making sure the right people get elected.
The Key PAC's endorsement on this race has been tremendous. It's made quite the splash with the mobile billboard.
We decided rather than yard signs and what everybody else did, we would take it to mobile billboards.
The innovation of the organization is indicative of its group, and I totally appreciate their support and their big boost in the greatest time of need when we want to make sure voters get out to the polls. So thank you.
What we did was, we called this campaign Roll to the Polls, where we literally went to one of the major churches in Houston. The second person you saw speaking is Bishop James Dixon, who runs a Community-Based Church in Houston. And we literally had a caravan follow the mobile billboard to the polls. So that traffic that you saw was police escorted traffic directly from church to the polls. Right? We got the mobile billboard. It obviously made a big splash. We did the same thing during the runoff. It had a much bigger splash than we even anticipated the first time we did it. It had a very big effect. But my point is, the point of sharing this video was to show you that basically we got just a small group of us. So this is the flip to what you were saying. A small group of us were able to pull that off. And you talk about the benefit. You notice the people that were on that billboard were people who were members of Key PAC. There are a lot of other people we could have supported. So that's an example of people who contributed to the PAC years ago who are now benefiting from it today. So I'll stop there.
This is privileges.
That's privileges, for sure.
Yes.
So I'll stop there, because I'm sure people have questions, so I'm assuming they're going to have questions.
I'm going to steal that idea.
You can
That's
have it.
fantastic.
Yeah. We can work together.
That's awesome.
Yeah, for sure. Questions? Yes,
Is that
ma'am.
ad on YouTube?
Yes.
As what? I didn't see it.
If you go to the keypad.
The keypad.
The keypad, yes ma'am. The keypad.
Akila?
Hello. I'm interested in all the various ways we can fund the movement, so really,
Can you stand up so we can hear you a little better?
hello, Akila Wallace, Tatum, Texas, here in Dallas. And I wanted to know, I'm very interested in all the various ways that we can fund these movements. I'm a founder of Black Women's Freedom Circle, but also I'm here because I want to learn about PACs and the other ways we can harness our collective giving. What are the, as I was all on your website, what is the max contributions and versus like, because also on everybody's email, like running for office and I contribute directly to their races. So what are the max between me getting directly to them as well as in the PACs? It may vary, I just didn't know if it's like a set.
Texas is the Wild West when it comes to campaign finance. If you're running for federal office, if you're running for the U.S. Senate or U.S. Congress, there is a contribution limit. I believe it's now $2,800 per person, $5,000 a couple, and I can't remember what your total max is aggregate. In Texas, sky's the limit. If you can write $1 check, you can write $100 million check.
That's if you're running for state.
State office, state office, any state office.
Governor, all the way down to your municipal stuff, even your school boards, county commissioners.
Some cities, yeah, some
Well,
cities.
That may have their own regulations.
Yeah, so for example, the city, so it depends on where you are, right?
For local
So federal, there's a limit. The limit is about $2,800 individually. State level, unlimited. So Ron Reynolds was here earlier, you can give him $50,000 if you want,
Which
right?
speaks to Chris's presentation as well. So when you have one donor that gave $50,000 to a PAC, it could be $1 million.
To more than one.
Right, well, the donation to the PAC is different, that's a completely different issue, right?
That's what she was asking.
Yeah, that's unlimited too.
Yeah.
As long as it's a state PAC, if it's a federal PAC, again, you've got that limitation. If it is a state PAC, which is, are you a state PAC? Yeah. And we're a state PAC.
So is the Black Women's PAC.
Yeah, Black Women's PAC is state PAC, totally unlimited. You can give whatever you want to any candidate, to any PAC, to, Texas really is the Wild West on campaign finance.
So is it better to give to the PAC, so the PAC can give to the individuals, or is it better to give to the individuals?
Give to a PAC.
I think that's what.
Do you want to say something?
So it depends. It depends. So at the end of the day, the candidate will get. It depends. So you can give to someone directly. The reason I'm pausing is because sometimes you can't coordinate with PACs, right? So there's some rules around that. So it just really just depends. If the PAC is going to advance, for example, if you know the PAC has a list of candidates that they're going to give to, then that's a way where they both can win, right? You can give to the PAC and the PAC will then give to candidate X. Or you can always give directly to the candidate.
I advocate giving to both.
Yes.
And I think what's great about a PAC, like your PAC, is that you get to aggregate a lot of the money and then make very strategic investments into races that you know are going to make.
Yes.
And I think that's really important. And then, PACs will keep you up to date on what's happening on those races as well. I think it's also really important too, in terms of actual candidates that you like, that are in your area, that believe in what you believe in, go to their events. I mean, actually, if, let's say that you give to Black Women's PAC, and y'all gave to Devin Allen, and Devin's having an event, go to Devin's event and say, hey, I'm part of this PAC, we gave to you, I want to meet you, and at least sign up for our email list. Maybe that's how you volunteer for that campaign.
I think for the PAC as well, this PAC did, they had 4 candidates, 4 or 5 candidates that they moved at one time.
Right.
So the PAC was able to collectively pull everybody together. It's almost like a, like a party. You can have one by yourself,
Right.
or your whole sorority can get together, put in and have a huge party that actually, makes it a greater impact.
Or a different example is the billboard, right?
Yeah.
We were able to pool our money together to give these candidates an impact, particularly the city council members, a platform or a billboard, literally, that they would not have been able to get I shouldn't say individually, but the individual members who gave to PPAC would not have been in a position to do that theoretically on their own.
And I would, just one more point, because I think it's really important, because you want to make sure that the money that you're giving is a smart investment, right? I mean, it's your hard-earned dollar. You want it to be a very smart investment. So if I were running for state representative in Lubbock, you should not give to me. I'm not going to win in that district. But know that certainly Lone Star Project, and I know Black Women's PAC does the same thing, they really look at where are the viable races, where do we have a shot at winning?
Targeted win.
And there are targeted wins and very strategic investments in those races. They can help filter that out, because you're going to get bombarded with so many candidates, right? And so I think that's another plus. And also know that, like Lone Star Project, we're state PAC, you're state PAC, you're state, we can coordinate. I can call you and say, I'm doing this in your race, I'm doing this for Mayor Turner, tell me what you're doing, I want to plug a hole and not duplicate an effort. I can have a conversation with Tracy and say, I know you're going to give, hopefully, at least a Simmons an investment, and we are too. Can we coordinate? Perfectly legal.
Well, we can start with Houston, because we have re-election on December the 14th, I believe, and so we're going to be doing this again, so we can coordinate that. I think somebody else has a question.
I just want to know, how is the PAC influenced by the decisions? How do you make a decision on who it is that you're going to support locally, or is it member advanced, or is it board influenced?
So for the Black Women's PAC, I can be transparent and say that I've struggled with that. Because there are, instances where there is a group of people that get together and you interview candidates and you have candidate interviews and, everybody votes and that kind of thing. And then there's the, fill out a questionnaire. And, you just say, okay, this person is checking all the boxes that the Black Women's PAC believes in, and then you endorse that person. So, I really had a problem with being the only person that would make that decision. And not being able to get a collective group of women, that could join me and say, hey, let's do it, let's, make it happen. And, no harm, no foul, sorry. But individually, personally, I did not want to make that decision.
At PPAC, we go by majority rules, essentially. We have a candidate screening committee that will evaluate folks, come back with recommendations, and 99% of the time we go on board with whatever they say.
And at Lone Star Project, I'm impressed, we're pretty cold-blooded. We look at the actual district and the district numbers and how it performs, and our candidates, and we invest where we think we can win. Now, everything we're trying for is really hard, right? Where Elisa's gonna run, not easy. Where Retta ran, not easy. But we could see a path. And if we can see a path, we're there. And I know last cycle, I shared with you some district numbers so that to help you make more informed decisions, and that's something that we kind of coordinate and share that data with Tracy.
Okay, so is there any more questions? Because we're gonna.
I have a quick question.
So on the specifics of who contributes to the PACs, is that you have to disclose that on the ethics report?
Yes, you do.
So even if a person has a dollar, a recurring dollar.
It's all there.
It's all there.
Because I didn't see.
Right.
Yeah, there was a whole lot of depth that, again, I gave you my summaries. You can find everything. I mean, it's literally down to the dollar on somebody that's given to a PAC.
And then, while this doesn't necessarily impact PACs, the 2018 IRS ruling about nonprofits not having to disclose their donors, it's a nuanced difference, it's not PAC, but can you talk about not having to disclose who your donors are for nonprofit organizations, and can you take 2 minutes to do that?
You're talking about super PACs. Yes.
So the question was, the new ruling through the IRS that you don't have to disclose the individuals that have contributed to a super PAC.
The super PAC.
Yeah.
Was that for nonprofit?
No, I'm talking about nonprofits.
You're talking about C3s.
Yeah, C3s.
Yeah, C3s and C4s, quite frankly, ever since McCain Final, and Citizens United was ruled by the Supreme Court, has just exploded what people refer to as dark money. And even though what Chris showed, I think is very dark, it's reportable, right? You see it. You absolutely see it. You know what the deal is. There has been this explosion of kind of a combination of super PACs, C4s, C3s that are voter education.
And that's how they navigate around it.
Right.
They're not advocating for a candidate.
Right.
Or against a candidate per se. They're just letting you know something, which is absolutely damaging or absolutely supportive without coordinating with somebody else.
Right.
Okay, so thank you very much. So I'm going to do one thing. We have someone here with us, Carol. Did you want to come say a few words? Carol Robinson is running for chair of the Texas Coalition of Black Democrats. And so he is obviously trying to collect all Black Democrats across the state of Texas so that we move in one phase, one movement, as best we can. So I just wanted to have Carol say a couple of words about, what's coming up next year, what his plans are for the Texas Coalition of Black Democrats, and,
So let me say this. The first thing I want to say to Tracy is, here's an easy formula. Donate to black women running so long as they are the only one in the primary. The reason I came up, Tracy, I want to thank her. I actually tried to convince some other folks to start a Black Women's PAC. Tracy worked for me when I was a city council member in Houston, and the people I talked to initially couldn't get it. So I'm at my mama's house over Christmas in New Jersey, and I called up my friend who made the mistake of reaching out to me in 2017 when I said, well, I'm going to get active in the party one more time because, sidebar to make my point, so they had the exhibit at the Museum of Fine Arts, the Royals, and if you went to the Museum of Fine Arts in Houston, when you went to go into the exhibit, actually the very first thing you saw was a picture from the floor to the ceiling about 20 feet wide. And it was a picture of Anne with Queen Elizabeth. And I smiled to myself. I was with some people and I smiled to myself. And I smiled to myself and I told him, I said, I was fortunate to be there. I was working for Senator Ellis and he sent me off to go work on a coordinated campaign, and that year we elected every Democrat running statewide in Texas. And I smiled and I said, I knew I was making history when I was there working on that campaign and working at the Capitol when Ann was governor, Sharp was comptroller, Bullock was replaced. I mean, literally the first time we did redistricting, when Bullock was like governor, we rolled the map on a table and we drew Rodney's Senate district with a highlight on a paper map. But I smiled to myself because I did not know that would be the last time I would see a Democrat elected to statewide office in Texas. We've only ever elected one African American statewide in Texas, and that was Morris Overstreet at the same time on that same ticket. And so my son was old enough and went off. I kind of retired from politics. Corey, you'll understand this. I was on city council. I'm obsessive compulsive. You ask my kid where I live and he would tell you, Daddy lives at City Hall, because I wanted to make sure I represented the people. The second thing he said, and it broke me, he said, Daddy comes home when it's dark outside. So
I was back then, he didn't care that it broke us. Everywhere, yes. Didn't care.
So I figured it would be good to save everybody's kid, but you ought to go try to help save your kid. So I went home and became a parent for a while. I got onto the community college board because I thought education is fundamental. There are 6 kids in my family, and my parents had no formal education. My dad never drove a car in his life, could barely write his name, but he bought 2 houses and sent 6 of us off to college. And when every one of us went off, he gave us a car so that we could, if anything went wrong, get home. And so I started out an educator in reality that accidentally got into politics. And you started looking at the data, and the data started saying African Americans, black people, because we are black across communities, we were going to go broke in 2050. 0 net worth. We lived in poverty in overwhelming numbers, and I just thought, not only do we have to elect African Americans, black officials across the state, city council, county commissioners, school board, mud districts, state reps, state senators, members of Congress, maybe a United States senator, but we have to have an agenda to hold people accountable. And so I decided the best vehicle that could do this was the Texas Coalition of Black Democrats. But for the coalition to be able to do it, you have to have partnerships. So we created with Tracy, initially it was Tracy and my wife, the Black Women's PAC. Most people don't realize that the Black Women's PAC went out and raised $38,000 in 2018 and sowed that seed and got a lot of folks elected. I think with the right leadership, the Texas Coalition of Black Democrats can pour more money into the Black Women PAC so we can elect black women. There are like 14 districts in the state. I'm telling everybody, but this is my agenda. There are 14 districts, state house district in the state, that was within 10%. I'm going to try to run as many African Americans as I can in the Democratic primary in those 14 seats to send as many more African Americans to the state house. If Democrats had been paying enough attention in Texas, we would have took the house in 18. But nobody believed it. And I remember Jesse Jackson always said this, you can't win the race unless you get in the race. And sometimes I've had my name on the ballot. I've won and I've lost. And I always tell people after I've done this, I'm a veteran, everybody that loses, I call them up the day after and I say, you know, have something valuable. You have experience and name ID. Stay visible, stay active, and you're a better candidate the next time around because you know everybody you need to talk to, you know how to talk to donors, and you know where to go find voters, and you're more electable. All I want to do with the coalition is build the infrastructure. Let me tell you, I'm modest. I want one of the 3 African Americans running in the United States Senate race to be the nominee. The reason I want them to be the nominee is not only do I think I can send them to the United States Senate if we all get together, but Democrats are not going to win Texas unless we have an African American on a statewide ticket to drive African American voters out. There are 3.6 million of us in Texas. We are the state with the largest black population in America. There are 2.3 to 2.6 million of us 18 and older. If you listen to the Democratic Party, maybe 900,000 of us voted. That leaves you 1.4 to 1.7 million African Americans in the state of Texas. Beto O'Rourke lost by 214,000 votes. I think I can go find those votes to take Texas blue. Now I've got to go convince folks like this, and I've got to go convince you that it's worth putting in the $10 a month and we smartly invest it, there are going to be some places where we, African Americans, are going to have to run an African American candidate, and we're going to tell them, you're not going to win, but I need you in this district because it's going to turn out enough votes to take a Royce West, an Amanda Edwards, or a Michael Cooper, and it'll help us pick up 4 or 5 more congressional seats in Texas. I don't care what they do in Florida. I don't care what they do in Michigan. I don't care what they do in Pennsylvania. I don't care what they do in Wisconsin. You win Texas next year, and no Republican can be elected president of the United States. We just got to win the Hillary map and Texas, and we will own the presidency for the next 30 to 40 years. And we're talking about making up 500,000 votes. Now, I'm counting on white Democrats to do their part, but I can do it without them. I'm counting on Hispanic Democrats to do their part, but we can do it without them. I'm counting on Asian and South Asian Democrats to do their part, but if we do what we're supposed to do, and to do that, we have got to have a strong, powerful, and well-funded Texas coalition of black Democrats with the Black Women's PAC. We formed and haven't showed up yet because they haven't gotten to the bank to fill out their bank account. But we're doing a Texas Democratic PAC, and we have a bipartisan PAC because I have a list. I want a black woman speaker of the Texas House because I want fair maps, or I at least want to block the maps so we can get to court to get a real redistricting. I want a United States Senator. I'll give the White House to Biden, Warren, whoever. It would be nice to have a black woman on the ticket. I think it makes a difference. I would like. Now, don't elect me chairman of the Texas Coalition of Black Democrats if you are afraid to be black. Don't elect me if you are afraid for black folk to have political power. Don't elect me if you're afraid for folk to come to East Texas, West Texas, south of Corpus Christi to go find every black person in the state, register us, turn us out, and come to Austin and talk to the legislature and the party about what we want. If you don't want that, I'm okay. I'm almost at my magic number. If you elect me, I will give you 2 years. I will rebuild the coalition 2 years, not 2 terms, 2 years. And then I'm going to do what I did for the Greater Houston Black Chamber of Commerce. We're going to put a bunch of young people on that board. We're going to train them how to run an organization, how to raise the money, and we're going to let them be the next generation of leadership in this country.
Designed to help us, elevate and to learn more about the issues, about what's going on in Texas, about what our future could be, and how we need to engage and get involved. So I hope that's what you walk away with. The Black Women's PAC is on Act Blue. If you Google Act Blue, BWPAC, our link will come up. You can click on it, you can give electronically. You can go to our website, blackwomenspactx.org, if you would like to get our address, or you can ask me, and I accept checks today. I can help you with the credit card process today, and cash today. So please, thank you very much for coming. I'm so glad you all stayed. Oh yes, Ms.
I have another comment. If you would like, and you want to do it over a period of time, you can do it monthly.
Yeah. Yes.
If you want
There's
to,
a box, you just click it, and it says monthly contributions. You click that, and it automatically comes to us.
and you won't miss it. If you go and you want to write a check, you can write 4 or 5 checks and post data.
No, you can't. No, you can't. I don't do that. No, you don't.
No, listen, you listen.
No, you
She
listen.
give you
No,
4
wait.
checks, listen.
No post data checks.
No, let me finish. You can write a check for December, January, February, and March, and she can hold them and deposit them as
I understand that that's possible.
But you don't do it.
No. Yes. So yes, on our website. Thank you very So on our website, we have t-shirts, mugs, t-shirts, mugs, hats, tote bags, and you can order that online and it ships directly to you. Yes, and that's on our website as well. And if you did not get an invitation to this event by email, please make sure that we have your email address so that we can add you to our mailing list, add you to our event list, and so that you will get information of what's going on across the state with Black women or with issues that have to do with politics, healthcare, education, and that kind of thing. So thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.